This is Vibrant Voices. I'm your host, Charles Elliott. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast, Vibrant Voices. Today we have a special guest, the mayor of Lakewood, Cassandra Chase. And welcome, Cassandra. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get started. One of the things for our listeners, right? First-time listeners that doesn't really know about Lakewood, could you tell us something about Lakewood?
Sure. Yeah, Lakewood is a loving, vibrant community. We are one of the 88 cities that make up Los Angeles County. We are in a really distinct area where we're a few minutes from the beach, with Long Beach as a neighbor to our south. We are part of Lakewood touches Orange County. But we're also close enough to get to downtown LA without traffic, of course, in about like 30 minutes. But we all know that in Los Angeles, there's never a day without traffic. But like our geographic location really has made it a place where a lot of families have decided to call it home, because we are in Los Angeles County and we have that beautiful proximity to so many things in the community. I think important things to know about Lakewood: we are a place that really, I think, leads with people in mind. We have so many volunteers and civic organizations here in our community, and people who show up for each other every single day. It's one of the things that I really value and love to talk about when I think about what is Lakewood and why is it so important and who are we. We really are a really beautiful network of people who care about each other and care about the community that we live in.
Oh, that's cool. That's beautiful. One of the things that people should know, and you sort of make history, right? Because you're the first Black mayor of Lakewood, right? Yeah. What was that like, and how, once you started your campaign, you decided you wanted to run for mayor, to walk us through that process, and then you're, winning the race. What was that like? Explain that process to us.
Yeah, so I was actually born here in Lakewood. My parents bought a home in Lakewood in the 80s and then got married, and then I made my grand appearance. So like Lakewood has been home for me. And as I've grown, service has been really a core component of who I am. It's, I would say, one of my family's core values. My mom's a nurse, my dad is a United Methodist minister, and both of them showed me by example what it meant to show up for communities. So I had like a firsthand example at home around what it means to lead and what it means to give to community. And so as I went on in my professional career, I studied at UC Irvine and studied sociology and education and public health, and went on to become an educator, and started asking questions, right, around how our world works, how our government works, how do people have access, and folks kept pointing me to the people who had the decision-making power, the elected officials who had decision-making power, and said, you should go and talk to them. And of course I was like, okay, I will. And had conversations with folks, and conversations turned into invitations to join organizations and to continue to serve. And so this whole backstory, I think, becomes important, right, around the moment that we're in now, in me serving as the first Black mayor of the city. But me saying yes to folks, and saying yes to the community, and saying yes to just, I think, serving in the way that made the most sense to me, was all about how I got here. Now Lakewood itself, Lakewood is a suburb in Los Angeles County, and when the city was created in 1950, like so many cities in America, it excluded a number of folks that look like you and I. We couldn't buy a home here. And so it's not lost on me that was where our history started, but I think it also it shows the strength of our city. It shows the beauty of our city. It shows the opportunity to change and to welcome folks, to build a more vibrant and more welcoming community. And so now here we are 1 years later, and I was elected to city council. And so me running for city council was not something that I had on my to-do list, if you will, but with the encouragement of some really, really great friends and leaders, they thought that I'd make a great leader for our community, and I said yes to running. It took me a while for me to believe what they were saying, and I'm grateful that I believed them and that I said yes to the opportunity to run for office. And running for office is not easy. I mean, I think there's like this whole like internal side of around like seeing yourself as a candidate, seeing yourself in the political structure, but then there's this other side that I think is like so beautiful, which is the opportunity to engage with your neighbors in such a deep and intentional way. And so running the first time I ran in 2020 for the very first time, it was an at-large election, which meant that every person in the city of Lakewood can vote. Every voter, right, in the city of Lakewood could vote. For me, there was 2 seats up at that time, and I lost the race. I came in 3rd out of 6 people on the ballot, which wasn't too bad, right, for a first-time candidate. But I lost my first race, but I didn't let that disappoint me. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and at that time I was just happy to have had the courage to put myself out there, to say yes to those people who were making the ask of me to do it, and knowing that the skills that I have would bring value to the community. So I lost, and it was okay, but that didn't stop me, So 2 years later, we had districts that were created, and folks were like, look, now if you didn't think you needed to run then, you really need to run now, because in our city, we have never had anyone who has lived east of the 605 actually serve on council.
Wow.
And so as we think about representation, I think that like my race in 2022 was a race around representation, not only around where folks live geographically in the city. Like with the districts, we now have representation from all 5 corners of our beautiful city serving on the dais. We also have representation as me as the only woman on a 5-person council, which is also important. And then being elected as the first Black person, and then in July of 2026 being appointed as the first Black mayor. So I know that's a long explanation, but
that was a really good explanation, because you give the details of how you got here. And one of the things that I'm wondering, what was the weight of you being the first Black woman? Was it weighted for you? Do you feel like, okay, I have to do something special, I have to be more than just mayor because the spotlight is on me? I don't know. Could you give me a little history prior to you becoming the mayor? Was it all male? Are you the first woman, or were there previous females that were mayor?
Yeah, there's been previous female women who have served as mayors. I think I'm number 6. Don't quote me on that. But we have had women who have served in leadership. But 6 out of 72 years, or 71 years, and also having one woman on council when 50% of our community is women. It's not necessarily representative fully of our community. But I will say I do have fantastic council colleagues who show up for everyone in this community every single day. And it is an honor to work with them. As mayor, I serve as the team captain in many ways. So it's pretty cool, this relatively young Black mayor, being able to collaborate and to lead a team of folks who have been on council for many years. And so I think that's one of the beautiful things about the team that we have here. And it's reflected in the city. When you drive through the city, we have smooth streets, we have beautiful parks, we have great infrastructure. It's because the entire city council is making good decisions, I think, on a daily basis, along with our amazing city staff that really, really care about how we do our work, how we show up for our people in the community. And so it's always, it's a joy to do it. So the weight, I can say that I was a bit nervous stepping into the role, especially during this political climate, and seeing so many people of color being targeted in some ways, for leadership during this season. But I had really amazing reminders in conversations, in people around how loving our community is. I had nothing to worry about, and so yes, I am a Black woman. I am the first Black person ever to serve as mayor. And so I didn't feel I needed to serve in any other way than a way that reflects all of who I am, and so I was very intentional. I was just having a conversation earlier today where I think it's important to show up in all the spaces in your full self, and so as I moved into the mayoral role, I didn't leave anything behind. I'm the mayor, but I'm also an educator. Yes, I'm a mayor. I'm also an educator. I'm also a social impact leader. I also practice yoga. I also go for long walks and spend time with my family, still go to a good restaurant, still enjoy life, cool. And experience joy.
Cool. So, all right, now you're mayor, you're in the role. Are some of the things you as mayor created, like I think you talk about the themes that you want to do. What are some of the specific themes for this year that you want, that you're implemented?
Yeah, so I think that's something different that I did this year from the other mayors in our city in the past. We have the ability to create like our year as mayor in the ways in which we see fit. And for me, I created a theme for our council, for our community to rally behind, which is Lakewood Together, a year of kindness, care, and civic action. And I developed a theme with a lot of intention, noting where we are politically as a nation, and knowing that those political tensions, and I should say as a nation and also as a world, right, where things are just so polarized and it's either A or B or red or green, and it's really difficult to find spaces where there's nuance and consideration and collaboration. And what I know about Lakewood is like Lakewood has always chosen to do things differently. We've always decided things can be going on, but look, we can do the thing that we hope and we aspire here in our city. So the theme is an actionable one that really centers kindness as a governing value, which I think is unique. Folks are like, wait, you're a politician and you're talking about kindness as a policy? Yes. Why? Because we can create this world and this work in a way that centers people. And for me, the value of kindness, the value of care, and the opportunity for people to come together are all ways that build a strong, loving community that can have conversations that are difficult, that can support each other when things are good and when things are hard, and so the theme is really a centering point, a opportunity for us to know that when we see each other as neighbors, when we see each other as being part of something bigger than ourselves, that we can continue to build a place that we could all be proud of.
I totally agree. I think it's a very powerful, especially how the world is today. I think it's a very powerful theme because so many people are, are in the trenches in their tribal type of thinking. And if you can express, kindness, as opposed to being, it's just about me, it's about my needs, it's about my concern, I think we, in America right now, I think we are too much focused on the me as opposed to the community.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love the whole concept of just having that community and trying to look out for one another, right? And be present in your community. And so I think I love the concept. I think it's really great. Yeah. And I just want to touch on one thing. As you were talking previously, you talk about your civic leader, you do other things, right? So let's touch on that for a second. Because I know you were president of the women's. So I don't know if you want to give us a little bit about what you did there and how that all shaped you to become the person you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I, in association to serving as mayor, I also serve as the president of the Women's Caucus of the League of California Cities. League of California Cities is an organization that encompasses the 480, I believe, 2 cities that make up the state of California. Our caucus, the Women's Caucus, is the largest caucus within the organization, with over 900 elected women leaders who are members. And I've had the immense privilege of serving as president now for 2 years. And it has just been a wonderful opportunity to grow and learn alongside women elected leaders throughout our state, to understand the challenges that come with serving as women in leadership, but also the joys that come with doing that. We collaborate statewide to create initiatives, and this year we have been focused on the exploration, understanding, and implementation on how local government leaders can start to view childcare as infrastructure. Noting that childcare is so expensive for many families, and it is in some ways one of the things that is causing folks to make some really difficult decisions in their lives, whether they stay in the workforce or stay at home to care for their child. Both very valuable things to do, but also when you're dealing with an economy where, when I was driving, I saw that gas is $6 a gallon, to have, and also like our average home price here in Lakewood is $800,000 plus. Lord. Noting like the realities of the economy that we're living in, making the decision to not work can be a challenging one. Noting that there's so many expenses and the cost of living continues to rise. And so what we're thinking about and what we're having conversations about and learning from experts and also learning from local leaders who have implemented programs has been around like the childcare space. Can local government help to support folks by providing programming for people with children? We're also looking at it from another lens, right? Which is also building family-friendly cities. And so we know that not every person has children, but like if we look at it from the lens of building family-friendly cities, we're being inclusive, right? Of folks who may want to age in place. And so thinking about, do we have senior centers, which we do here in Lakewood. We have lovely senior center, which is under renovation, and in a few months it will be almost a brand new place with ADA accessibility and bright lights, and just a really lovely place for people to continue to gather. But we think about like folks having that ability to age in place, the ability to raise your children, the ability to, if you are, to move freely throughout the city without having cracks in your sidewalk, right? So the work that we're doing this year with the Women's Caucus is really around thinking, how do we build family-friendly cities? And it's been really meaningful work to collaborate with a number of leaders throughout the state. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the possibilities there, and I'm really grateful to be able to lead in that capacity.
It's amazing. I mean, you really have a impeccable resume. As I'm talking to you, and when I was doing my research to interview you, right? So I know you're a very well-rounded person. You have a lot of interests. And one of the things that I would love for you to talk to us about, one of your interests is writing a book, children's book, and then also starting your school and stuff like that, because I mean, you're a superwoman. I'm looking at, I'm listening to all the things that you're doing here, and I was like, okay, we have a superwoman right here, I mean, wow. Okay,
thank you. Yeah, I'm really blessed to be able to do the things that I've been able to do in this lifetime. Just tremendously blessed, and I attribute it to like just so many folks in my life showing me what's possible, noting that like you don't have to just do one thing. You can do one thing, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But the way my mind works, being a multi-hyphenate is absolutely a good fit for me, And so, yes, I did co-found a education initiative that focuses on providing summer, after school, and Saturday academies for K through 12 students, really providing a safe space for children to be able to learn and to grow, to have college mentors to look up to. Our work is part of a larger network called the Children's Defense Fund Freedom Schools, which comes out of the civil rights movement.
Wow.
And the understanding that our young people are so incredibly important. And part of what we do in our program is to help them to activate themselves and to use their voice and to understand civics, understand community, understand themselves in the best way possible, so that they can continue to show up to be the best citizens that they can be for all of us. And the children in the program continue to inspire me. They lead, I often tell young people, I'm like, yes, you're the future, but like you're also very much so building the future today with all of your actions, with the things you believe, the things you can create, like go and do it, and so really grateful to have been able to create or to help support that space for children to learn. We know that literacy is important, and making sure that our babies can read is part of that work as well. And so we know that when students are reading, they're able to learn, they're able to engage in deep ways, they're able to ask meaningful questions that I think helps to build the world that we all know we deserve. So that's part of what I've created. And then over the last almost a year now, I've started writing. That's been a little bit of like how I've been able just to like take some time to myself, and to really get that creativity piece of me moving and flowing. And so I am writing a children's book with my dad and my sister, and it's a story about home. My dad is from Barbados, and it's his experience in the 1940s. My dad was born in 1943, and this is a story of him experiencing joy on the roads that were not paved, on a donkey cart, and it's a story about snow cones, snowballs, right? And so it's his own experience that he shared with my sister and I, and we're like, Dad, like this is such a beautiful story. And so we all sat down and wrote it together as a children's book. And what's so beautiful about the book is that it calls the names of locations, the old time names of different parts of Barbados. So Grantley Adams Airport, that was fairly recent when it was named Grantley Adams, and back in the 40s I think it was called Sewell Airport. So we call the airport Sewell Airport.
Wow.
There's places that might be familiar, like the S Bend. And so not only is it a story about the joy that my dad experienced as a kid, but it's also like a bit of a capturing of history of the Barbados that was. And for me, like, memory and history is super important. I know when, as a kid, when we'd go home, not only as a kid, but still now, when I go home to Barbados with my dad, as we drive down the street, he'll say, that's where so-and-so lived, and that's where so-and-so lived, and that, you know what I mean? And all of that is important, I think, to understand not only where you come from, but also to remember, right, what was. And I think knowing what was helps us to build what can be. So the story and the book will be released before the end of the year. It's also being illustrated by one of our family friends, John Paul, who our dads are good friends, and they met here in Los Angeles as Barbadians in the Caribbean community. John Paul's an artist, educator as well, and so it's really beautiful to be able to collaborate with so many people to create something that I hope will be meaningful and add some joy and fun to families' lives.
It's cool. I can't wait. I would love to read the story. Do you have a name for the book?
Yes, it's called Little Louie and the Snowball Man.
Wow.
My dad is Little Louie. My dad is Reverend Louis Chase, but yeah, he's Little Louie.
I didn't set this up, but that was a great segue into my next question. We didn't work on it together, so you're being honored by Our Vision Caribbean Latino Film Festival, right? And last year we honored the Prime Minister of Barbados was honored with that award, and the ambassador for Barbados for the United States, he accepted the award on her behalf. What is it like for you now being chosen for this year's Spirit Award at the Our Vision Caribbean Latino Film Festival, May the 23rd,
yes,
in Hollywood? Yes,
thank you so much for the recognition. To be real, I'm still trying to make sense of all of it. I'm like, how am I, Cassandra Chase, being awarded the second award behind the amazing Prime Minister Mia Mottley? I'm, again, still trying to find words because it is just such an honor. My culture is so important to me. Barbados, the Caribbean is so important to me. And to be named as the Spirit Award recipient this year is just such, I'm humbled, to say the least. As you can see, I don't have words for it. But, Prime Minister Mottley is just a fabulous leader. I look up to her. I've had the honor of having some conversations with her, and she's always so encouraging of my leadership. I've been able to tell her how much I look up to her, which has been amazing. But, the way in which she stands up for people, and she listens to people, and she engages with our communities, and not only just stands up for the people of Barbados, but for the region. Her work on climate justice and activism, and the understanding of the things that are happening in America, how that affects people in the Caribbean region, and how she does not hold back her words around what is happening in our community is something that I really admire about her. She is really an authentic leader, someone who I believe shows up as her full self in every room. And so to be honored behind her is just,
Yeah, she's an amazing woman, and what we wanted to do with the Spirit Award when we offered it to her was her tireless work for climate change and the whole, because the Caribbean is so vulnerable when it comes to climate change and stuff like that. So we wanted to honor her with that. It's been an amazing time talking with you. And one of the questions I usually ask folks who come on this podcast is like, for the younger folks that's watching, if you have to give like a young woman, for example, who wanted to run for mayor or have the dreams of doing anything, what advice would you give to like younger women or even young men, for example? You don't necessarily have to be exclusive.
That's right. I think like the advice I would give for people is show up as your full and authentic self. Know that your experiences bring value to every space that you are in. No one else can be you. So do that, and you can do whatever you want in this world. There's a reason why you were put on this earth with the vision and the abilities that you have. Like, you are valuable and your experiences are valuable. I think the other thing I would say is say yes. Say yes to the things that feel right. Say yes to the things that you know that you can do good with. And if you aren't feeling 100% confident in it, listen to the people who love you, and when they think you can, have that belief in yourself as well, because folks won't steer you wrong, and of course you won't steer yourself wrong either. So
that's great. I want to one last question before you go. As myself as a filmmaker also, do you think how would you describe Lakewood as a place to come and do a movie? Would you say it has the atmosphere for shooting? And
yeah, it does. We've had a number of movies, commercials, television shows shot here in our city. If you're looking for a suburban atmosphere, you got it in Lakewood. If you need a beautiful park setting, you have it in Lakewood. But as filmmakers, you all have this sense of creativity and an eye that goes far beyond anything that I have in that space. And so I encourage folks, to come and see all that we have to offer, and know that we are a arts friendly and a film friendly community. We do appreciate when folks choose us for their movies and for those opportunities. So
great. I want to thank the mayor, Cassandra Chase, for coming on our show, and we look forward to reading her book, and we look forward to many things that she's going to do.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a joy to be here today.
Thank you for watching and listening to our show. Please subscribe.